So, apologies for rushing everyone, but the sessions have been too interesting. They've been running over a little bit. So now we will have Sri Ramakrishna through the eyes of the direct disciples. Oh no, sorry. This is Swami Atmajnanandaji's the session, Sri Ramakrishna through the eyes of the direct disciples. And then everything will be moved back a half hour, so the panel discussion will start at 4:30. And then there's still enough of gap in between before Arati. Please, Maharaj.
Vande Shri Sadgurum Pujyam Ramakrishnam Mahamatim Yasya Sukti Sudhan Pitva Vivekanandayate Jagat. This is a beautiful verse in Sanskrit written by a scholar who was once invited to Mysore Center to give a talk. It was an instantaneous composition. He did it just there, on the spot. So beautiful. He says, I bow down to the revered teacher, preceptor, or prophet, Sri Ramakrishna, who is a Mahamati of extraordinary intelligence, not in the worldly sense, one who knew the subtle truth. Okay? And he says, drinking from the nectar that poured out of his lips, or understanding his life and teachings, what happens? Vivekanandayate Jagat, the whole world can be made into Vivekananda, or endowed with intelligence, discrimination. It's a beautiful verse. So now, coming back to the topic that we started in the morning, understanding Sri Ramakrishna. We tried to understand Sri Ramakrishna a bit. In this talk, I would like to focus on how the direct disciples tried to relate themselves to Sri Ramakrishna, how they tried to understand Sri Ramakrishna, or how much they could understand Sri Ramakrishna. The understanding of the direct disciples can be considered the best understanding of Sri Ramakrishna, because Swami Shivananda, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Narendra, Swami Vivekananda, Adbhutanandaji, all these direct disciples, they had so much contact with Sri Ramakrishna. They saw him so many times and could understand him better. And Sri Ramakrishna had a unique way of teaching his chosen few. He would ask them to come on weekdays when not many people would be there. The devotees and others, he would say, oh, come on Sunday, or something like that. But when these young lads who were burning with renunciation, who were wanting to know the truth and realize God, when they came, Sri Ramakrishna would usually ask them to go sit and meditate, give them private instructions about spiritual life, sometimes ask them to come at specific times and give them instructions. Sri Ramakrishna was a master in spiritual disciplines. He had practiced practically all the known disciplines in the Hindu tradition, also some of the other traditions. But regarding the traditions in the Hindu faith. He practically knew everything of it. And he could see the insides of the person when somebody came to him, without even the person expressing the problems that he had or whatever it is. He could just see. He was the Antaryaman. He knew everything inside and out. He himself used to say that I can see the insides of a person as if it's been kept in a glass case. And he could uplift the person, sometimes by touch, sometimes by writing a mantra, or just by looking. That was the intense spiritual power that he carried with him. He need not even, there was no need for him to even touch. He could just infuse spiritual power by even seeing the person or being in his presence was an elevating thing. Sri Ramakrishna's intense spiritual power, the direct disciples experienced many, many times, and they were so drawn to Sri Ramakrishna. They loved him so much. You can understand this very well if you read the last part of the Gospel after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away. How they pined for Sri Ramakrishna, how much they felt the loss of their beloved master. Sri Ramakrishna himself speaks about his role, his purpose as an incarnation. You will find in the Kathamrita, Sri Ramakrishna says, avatars are Ishvara Kotis. Now, avatara, you all know, means the descent of God or the incarnation. Avatarana means coming down. So the Supreme comes down, assumes a human body intentionally out of grace in order to uplift humanity, as we discussed in the morning. So it is an intentional descent of the Supreme out of grace, karuna. Sri Shankaracharya, in the introduction to the Gita Bhashya, says it is as if jata iva. It is as if he comes down. He assumes a human body and accepts the limitations of the human body, of a corporeal existence, all the problems that humans face. He accepts them. Swami Swahananda in the Great Master, while explaining this concept of incarnation, he says, he differs a little from Shankaracharya. He says, it is not a play. They don't act. The incarnation does not enact a play by coming down. He really experiences the pain and the suffering of the people whom he comes to uplift. It is not just a show. If it were a show, if it was just acting, then you wouldn't feel the response of the incarnation, isn't it? He actually feels the pain of the suffering. If you see the life of Sri Ramakrishna, how many times you will see in the Gospel, you will see many times that Sri Ramakrishna is praying for the welfare of people. He says, "Oh Mother, please help these people who are suffering so much." He says, he prays. And then when he tells Holy Mother, Sharda Devi, "You have to do something." Holy Mother says, "What can I do? I am a woman." Holy Mother says, "No, that will not do. Don't you see the suffering people? People suffering like worms." He points towards Calcutta and says, "Do something for them." Sri Ramakrishna knew the suffering of the people. He could feel, intensely feel, much more than we sympathize or empathize. It was, how do I say that? It was an intense feeling that Sri Ramakrishna could feel. So, the love or the grace of God cannot be expressed in human terms. Our feelings, our emotions, our relationships are usually based on selfish interests. What do I get by loving this person? What do I get by doing something for this person? It's always a give and take relationship. Unselfish relationships or unselfish understanding of another person is a divine quality. That is why Swami Vivekananda says the difference between God and the devil is between unselfishness and selfishness. If you are unselfish, you are divine. So this was the unselfishness in Sri Ramakrishna. He had nothing to expect from anybody. He did not expect anything from the devotees or from the students, the youngsters who used to come. He used to say, these young boys, once Howrah, he is a very funny character. He used to make comments. He used to try to advise Sri Ramakrishna how to deal with people, how to be more popular, all these things. He was a worldly wise person. So once Howrah told Sri Ramakrishna, you see, you love these young boys who come to you, and then you advise them about renunciation and all that. I know why you like them. Because they are all young and they come from good families, from Calcutta and all that. He says, no, I don't love them because they come from Calcutta, that they are educated boys. I know that they cannot even bring a pie's worth of sweet or anything for me. I love them because I see God in them. The mother has shown me that they are all come here to help me in the mission. So, Sri Ramakrishna was very clear when he met these youngsters. Most of the times, he would have seen them in a vision or in some spiritual ecstasy. He would have seen them, he could recognize them at the very first meeting. Oh, you belong to this group as a Vaishnava or a Shakta or a follower of Chaitanya or Sharat, and when Shashi came as followers of Christ, he could identify everybody and help them or relate to them in that way. So Sri Ramakrishna says here, avatars are Ishvara Kotis. Ishvara Kotis means a crore Ishvaras put together. Ishvara is one who controls the world, one who has the capacity, the power to control the world. So Ishvara Koti is the capacity of a crore Ishvaras. So they move around freely in open space. Sri Ramakrishna's words, I'm just quoting exactly what Sri Ramakrishna says. Avatars move around freely in open space. They have no boundaries. They have no borders. They are never tied down to worldly life. They live in the world, but are not of the world. This is my addition, this line. Their egos are not gross like worldly people. It is thin, and one can see the Lord through it like seeing through a hole in the wall. One can see the vast field on the other side, and when the hole is big enough, one can go to the other side and return. They can go to the other side and return at their will. Leela, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, he could just go and come down when he wants, whenever he wanted. There is a beautiful incident in the life of Holy Mother also. A devotee asks Holy Mother. Holy Mother was sitting in her village home in Jairambati and doing her usual chores of cutting vegetables and cooking and all that. So one day she was sitting and cutting vegetables in that small kitchen that is there in Jairambati, and a devotee, probably her disciple, asked her, "Oh Mother, do you remember your divine state always?" So Holy Mother looked at her and said, "Yes, It is like a fruit on my palm. Whenever I want, I can lift my mind to that state. With such ease, their mind is completely under their control. In the Hindu scriptures, you have two words which describe this. Such minds are called urdhvagami mana. Minds which are always pointed towards the Lord, which are, like Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the needle is always pointing to the north. The the mariner's compass, it always points to the north. So their needle is always fixed towards the Lord. The slightest indication, the slightest input can take them towards the Lord. Like Sri Ramakrishna. He went to the zoo, saw the lion, and immediately he was reminded of the mother's vehicle, Durga, Vahana. He saw a boy standing in the Maidan in a folded position like Tribhanga, Krishna, and immediately he went into Samadhi. Any slight suggestion would immediately put him into absorption. A song, a word, the devotion, or any such thing, or just by seeing Narendra. Just by seeing Narendra, his mind would go into Samadhi. So that is the fine-tuning that was there in Sri Ramakrishna. His mind was so fine-tuned, so receptive, so sensitive that the slightest suggestion could take him to Samadhi. He says, they can have Samadhi at will, whereas the ordinary mind is called adhogami mana. Its nature is to always go down. The slightest suggestion and it immediately goes down. It cannot hold itself. So Ishvara Kotis or avatars are much more than Ishvara Kotis. So Sri Ramakrishna says they are like a big hole in the wall. You can see the vast open field. You can get a glimpse of the Supreme by seeing an avatar. By learning about an avatar, by reading the life of an avatar, by trying to understand the life of an avatar, you can understand what God is, how God behaves, how God can be approached. So this is the significance of Sri Ramakrishna's life. In How to Live with God, yes, let me also give one more ad. So you have wonderful books here by Chetananandji and all the other books of Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature on sale here, easily available. I tell you, you have a very, very big advantage because these books are available here easily for you in English, which you all read. I come from Brazil, as you all know. The official language is Portuguese. Not all these books are available in Portuguese. Yes, quite a few books have been translated. The 4 Yogas of Swamiji, and then the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, a new translation, a new edition, which is absolutely accurate, is being done. It's going to be released very shortly. And then there are some books on meditation. Not all the books that you have here are in Portuguese. So our devotees, they somehow with great difficulty try to understand English, get books from here or from India, and try to understand English and appreciate the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna used to keep tabs on all these disciples and all the devotees also. He knew what everyone was doing. He used to get information from others, or he was all-knowing practically. So he asked Narendra, I heard that you met Girish the other day and you were discussing so much with him. What did you discuss? Narendra said, he was saying that you are an avatar, you are an incarnation. And then immediately Sri Ramakrishna asked, what did you say? What was your reply? So Narendra says, I kept quiet. It's his faith, it's his belief. So unless I have an experience, I will not accept things. This was Narendra's reply. Sri Ramakrishna just smiled. He said, okay. He did not object to Narendra's views or say, oh, no, you should accept me. He didn't force himself on Narendra. He just smiled. He knew that a time will come when Narendra will accept him completely. After a few days, Sri Ramakrishna again asked, well, some people call me an avatar. What do you think of this? Narendra again said, I don't want to form an opinion on others' ideas. I want an experience. And then I will believe it. And the final answer that he got was in Kashipur, he who was Rama, he who was Krishna. And you all know that beautiful incident. Sri Ramakrishna tested Narendra. For more than a month, Sri Ramakrishna never spoke to Narendra, did not even look at him, avoided seeing him also when Narendra used to come to Dakshineshwar. You see, Sri Ramakrishna used to be completely a different person as soon as Narendra came. He would give all attention to him, send the others, oh, go and see the temple, attend the Arati, or go and meditate. He would push away everybody else and then give all his attention to Narendra, feed him, talk to him, give him private instructions, personal instructions. And to such a person, when Narendra came, he would not even look at him. He would turn his way out other way and then go on talking about other things to the other devotees. And this continued for many days. And after about a month, Sri Ramakrishna asked Narendra, I don't even look at you, I don't talk to you, I don't give you any recognition. Why do you come? How is it that you continue to come? And Narendra said, I come here because I love you. I don't come here seeking recognition. I don't want you to recognize me and then praise me or do something like that. I come because I love you. So this was the understanding of Narendra or Swami Vivekananda. Later on, when somebody asked Swamiji, can you describe Sri Ramakrishna? Swami Vivekananda said, Sri Ramakrishna was Love in capital. Love, intense, unselfish love. Then another beautiful incident is there. One day Sri Ramakrishna asked Narendra, oh, why do you come here if you don't want to accept my mother, Kali? Narendra was not willing to accept Kali. He would not go to the temple. He would not bow down to Kali. He thought Kali, worshipping Kali or the black goddess was an abhorrent practice, was not something elevating. And Narendra said, I don't accept your Kali. Sri Ramakrishna said, no, she is not black. She is not bad. She can bestow grace and illumine a person. And Sri Ramakrishna sang the song, Shamama ki amar kalore, which Narendra used to like so much. In fact, this was a song which Swamiji sang just before his passing away also. Is my mother black? She illumines my heart. She is the light of my heart. And this incident continues. Narendra did not accept there. And then after a few days, Sri Ramakrishna gave him some personal instructions about Mother Kali. And after a few days, Narendra comes and tells Sri Ramakrishna, oh, what is your Mother Kali? I prayed to her intensely for 3 days, but I had no experience. You see, you can understand the mind of Narendra here. Just 3 days, and he says, I did not have any experience. That means he has had such experiences in other cases. He expects such fast results. His mind is so sharp and so focused that in 3 days he used to have spiritual experiences of some extraordinary nature. There's a beautiful incident that happened with Swami Vishuddhanandaji, who was one of our presidents. This incident happened when he was a vice president. He was visiting our center in Ranchi. And he was talking to the devotees. One of the devotees asked in Bengali to revered Swami Vishuddhanandaji Maharaj. I'll just tell the Bengali version because it's apt in Bengali. So the person was comparing Sri Ramakrishna with Holy Mother. So the question was, Ke bodo, who is greater? Amader Thakur na Ma? Try to understand. She said, who is greater? Our Thakur or Mother? As if Mother is nobody. Mother is not related. Our Thakur or that lady? That was the attitude. Swami Vishuddhanandaji gave a beautiful reply, very interesting reply which combines the love that we have for Mother and Thakur. He says, Tomader Thakur আমাদের মাকে পুজো করেছেন. Your Thakur worshipped our mother. তো কে বড় আমি বলতে পারছি না, তোমরা ঠিক করো. I cannot say who is greater, you decide. So he gave the answer. Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, Mahapurush Maharaj, says, with the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, by the coming of Sri Ramakrishna, Satya Yuga has started. Swami Vivekananda was explaining the yugas to you. The age of truth has started. The understanding of truth, the significance of truth in our life has started. There is so much of churning happening. People are now conscious of values, are trying to... The same question was asked to him, but there are so many things happening which do not prove this. Swamiji says a churning is going on. Things are settling down. So there is so much of dust coming up. So it has to settle. It takes time. But there is progress. Those of us who do not see progress have no patience. We need patience to understand and see. It takes a long time. So the world moves in a pace which we cannot understand. There is a beautiful incident about Sri Ramakrishna. You see, in the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, you have to do 3 things, he would say. You have to find out how you are related to me. He would tell the devotees and the disciples, আমি কে, তুমি কে, আর আমাদের কি সম্পর্ক এটা জানতে হবে. ঠাকুর বলতেন, who am I, who are you, and how you are connected to me. It is the actual eternal connection between the Jiva and the Brahman, like Tattvamasi, as he was explaining the Mahavakyas. So Sri Ramakrishna says, you have to know this. Who am I, who are you, and what is the connection between us. So there is an incident which happened with Hriday, which shows this. One day Sri Ramakrishna was going from his room across the Panchavati to the bank of the Ganges, probably to answer the call of nature or something. And Hriday, who used to take care of Sri Ramakrishna, was following him with a pot of water so that he can serve Sri Ramakrishna when he wants it. So he was going just a few paces behind Sri Ramakrishna. As they were going, he looked at Sri Ramakrishna, who was in his front, and found that Sri Ramakrishna's feet were not touching the ground. It was as if he was floating on air. And his whole body was luminous, was full of light. It was emanating light. He was looking surprised at this phenomenon that was happening in front of him. His own uncle, whom he knew so well, was in a divine form in front of him, going. And suddenly he looked at himself. He found he was also not corporeal. His body was also full of light. He was also floating. And he immediately started shouting, "Oh Mama, we are the same. I and you are one." Aham Brahmasmi experience, you see. He started shouting. Sri Ramakrishna immediately looked behind, came, touched him, and all the experience went down. They came back to normal state. He came back to his normal consciousness. And Hriday had experienced such wonderful joy. He had suddenly realized his true nature. You see, how he was eternally connected to Sri Ramakrishna. Who was Sri Ramakrishna? Who was he? And how they are connected. That he is eternally connected to Sri Ramakrishna. He knew for one instant. And he felt so bad that the experience had gone from him. He was so much overtaken by grief, he started crying. "Oh Mama, why did you do this? Why did you touch me to bring it down? I want to be in that experience." And Sri Ramakrishna says, "Yes, but you started shouting and creating such a lot of noise. People will come. I have so many experiences like this every day and I don't shout." You see, Sri Ramakrishna wanted us to have this understanding, who we are, how we are connected to Sri Ramakrishna. He used to say, somehow make a connection with God. Have a connection with God, either as a gnani, as a bhakta, in whatever way you can, you approach God, form a connection with God. And he would say, only when you have a relationship with God, the memory or smarana of God happens continuously. He would give the example, when two lovers meet, they meet frequently. To have an understanding, to have a better understanding between themselves, they meet frequently, they talk frequently, and develop a relationship. So he would say, so when you have a relationship, the love or the understanding is intense. Another interesting thing that you find in Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna never saw the horoscopes of the disciples or did not ask them anything about their date of birth or parentage and other things when they came to Sri Ramakrishna. In specific cases, sometimes he would ask, but usually he never bothered about these things because he could see the insights of the person. You see, as soon as he saw them, he would say, oh, when Rakhal came, even before Rakhal came, he said, yes, I saw him as a companion of Krishna. All these experiences he could make out. So he says, Sri Ramakrishna says, in a vision, I saw the class of devotees who were supposed to come here, and with Purna's arrival, it is complete. No one else of this class will come. So every devotee was coming to Sri Ramakrishna on purpose. Sri Ramakrishna knew. And Sri Ramakrishna used to instruct the disciples and the devotees in his own unique way. Sometimes it used to be harsh. Sometimes it used to be difficult for them to accept initially. But then they would realize, yes, Sri Ramakrishna had a way of teaching them. It was not easy to stay with Sri Ramakrishna because he was a man of realization, a man of perfection. And he used to be sharp when he observed slips or mistakes on the part of his disciples. Whether it is the devotee or the direct disciples, he used to teach them very carefully. Swami Brahmanandaji was the first president of our Ramakrishna order. And when the beautiful temple that we are having in Belur Math, when that was being constructed by Swami Vivekananda Maharaj, it was time for the image of Sri Ramakrishna to be done, the marble image. Interestingly, if you have seen the Belur Math image, most of you would have seen, I think, at least in the picture. So the image of Sri Ramakrishna, the marble statue that you find in Belur Math, is approved by Swami Brahmananda. Swami Brahmananda or Rakhal Maharaj, who was the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, who knew him so well. So Swami Brahmanandaji used to go to the studio, see, and then approve it. So the first statue that was done was not approved by Swami Brahmananda. It had a black mark on it. So that is now in Varanasi. That was given to Varanasi, and then the second image was done for Belur Math. And when Swami Brahmanandaji was asked, please approve the image of Sri Ramakrishna, he asked, which form of Sri Ramakrishna do I approve? Because I used to see him in various forms in a day. Sometimes he used to be beyond a human form, a long person or a gigantic person. There were so many forms in which I used to see him in one day. So which form do you want me to approve? This was what Swami Brahmanandaji asked. And when he went to see the image, he gave very clear instructions. He said Sri Ramakrishna's ears were below the eye level. He had big ears, but they were just below the level of the eye. So Swami Brahmanandaji gave specific instructions about Sri Ramakrishna. They knew him so well, they had understood him so well. In fact, if you read the book, The Eternal Companion by Swami Prabhavanandaji, so he mentions there that Swami Brahmanandaji looked just like Sri Ramakrishna from the back. If Swami Brahmanandaji is meditating, if somebody saw him from the back, it was as if Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in meditation. So thinking about Sri Ramakrishna, being with Sri Ramakrishna, understanding Sri Ramakrishna, he had become like Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Shivanandaji, when he came to Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar, if you read the book First Meetings by Swami Prabhananji Maharaj, you will get this information. He saw Sri Ramakrishna as his own mother. He approached him, put his head on the lap of Sri Ramakrishna as if he was a child and Sri Ramakrishna was the mother. And he says, the awakening of the Kundalini was an easy matter for him. He could do this even without a touch, but by a mere look. And he also says, Sri Ramakrishna, his ways were like a child, so simple, so natural, no show, no pretense, absolutely. It was as if he was a child of the Divine Mother. And Sri Ramakrishna's love for the Divine, for the name of God. Swami Shivanandaji says, sometimes if there were no disciples or somebody staying with him, sometimes Sri Ramakrishna would say, oh, stay here in the night. He would prepare their beds, either inside, sometimes Rakhal used to stay within, and Tarak and others, he would make arrangement on the veranda. And Sri Ramakrishna slept very little, practically for 1 hour or maybe even half an hour. He would not sleep at all. The whole night used to be passed in samadhi, or he would be moving around, talking to the mother, uttering something which many times people could not understand. Sometimes praying to mother, clapping his hands, repeating the name of God. And after some minutes, he would come and wake up these disciples and say, have you come here to sleep? Get up, meditate, meditate. And they say, they record, the direct disciples record, that as soon as Sri Ramakrishna used to get up from his bed and start walking, these people used to sit up in the beds and start meditating. Otherwise, he would come and wake them up. So, Swami Shivanandaji says, some nights when there was nobody, he used to be so restless to hear the name of God. That was the intense love that he had for the name of God, Name Ruchi. No? It is told Name Ruchi. There is a taste in the name of God. And Sri Ramakrishna had such intense love for this taste. He always wanted to hear the name of God. He would call the night watchman of the temple, those who used to guard the gates. He would say, Acha, ekto Bhagwan naam karo. So the guard had to say, repeat Rama, 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 and Sri Ramakrishna would dance or go into samadhi listening to this. So how fortunate those watchmen were. What a wonderful way in which he used to engage those watchmen. You see how he could transfer that spiritual love to people, ordinary people, common people. Anybody else, we wouldn't even bother to talk to the guard or the watchman or somebody as a worker. You see, he was a priest, a Brahmin who was highly respected by everybody as an avatar, and he goes to the watchman and says, chant the name of God. How much of love for God's name, you can imagine. And then when he had a fracture in his arm, he fell down and had a fracture in his arm. In Samadhi, he fell down. And people used to say, oh, you are a man of God, and how did this happen to you? Later also when he had the throat cancer. So that was the big doubt that many devotees had. How can an incarnation have some physical sickness, physical ailment? How can he suffer? They could not understand, grasp this. They thought he had all the power to cure himself. In fact, even the direct disciples, Narendra himself said, oh, if you apply your mind on that part, you will be cured. And Sri Ramakrishna said, how can I withdraw my mind from the mother to whom I have submitted everything and put it on my body? How can I do it? It's impossible, Sri Ramakrishna would say. So now, when this doubt used to come in the minds of these devotees or other people who used to come, Sri Ramakrishna would say, it is good that the mother has given me this illness. I said, how? How is it good? He said, yes, those who have doubts, those who don't understand me will not come to me now. Only those who love me truly will come. This is a screening process that the mother has started, he used to say. You see how beautiful, the way he used to look at it. Those who have ulterior motives, leave me now. So he, in fact, drew an inner circle and an outer circle. Those who understand him, those who are committed to him, he drew an inner circle. And those who support him externally, yes, he's a good man, he's a saint, we support you and that. He said, yes, an outer circle. Sri Ramakrishna had his own ways. And then many people think, oh, if you go to Sri Ramakrishna, if you pray to Sri Ramakrishna, he always decried Kamini, Kanchana. He won't give you worldly boons. He will not give you worldly prosperity, only spiritual prosperity, spiritual goodness and devotion and all that. So many people say, okay, Sri Ramakrishna is for spiritual life, not for worldly benefits. But you find, if you read Sri Ramakrishna's life, in many cases that Sri Ramakrishna did give boons to help people in their material problems also, in their worldly problems also. For the Narendra's life, for example, when Narendra's father passed away suddenly and when the family was in great trouble, Sri Ramakrishna blessed Narendra. Oh, your mother and sister and brothers will not have problems for simple food and clothing. He blessed. And when Baburam, Swami Premananda, came to Sri Ramakrishna liked his pure nature, that pure boy. Sri Ramakrishna wanted somebody to help him. He could not touch or be with somebody who is of impure character when he was in Samadhi. So he wanted Baburam to be there to help him. And Baburam's mother was also a very devoted lady, Matangini. So when she came, Sri Ramakrishna asked her, can you please do me a favor? I want to ask you something. Matangini said, yes. What do you want? She said, can you please allow your son to stay with me, to serve me? I cannot touch people of impure mind. Can you please allow him to stay with me, to help me, to serve me? Matangini was so happy. She was overjoyed. But then she played a trick. Said, will somebody leave her son just like that? You have to give me something in return. Sri Ramakrishna said, what do you want in return? Ask. She said, I want 2 boons. You have to promise 2 things to me. Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, ask. And she asked 2 boons, both of which Sri Ramakrishna fulfilled. First she said, see the lady also, what a caliber she had. She said, I must have unflinching devotion to God first. Absolute devotion to God first. And then second she said, she had 4 sons. She said, none of my children must die in front of my eyes. I don't want to see the bereavement of my children. Sri Ramakrishna said yes, and blessed her with both. She was an extraordinary lady. If you read the life of Matangini Devi, you will find. Swami Premanandaji records one incident. One day he was staying with Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar in the room, and he found suddenly Sri Ramakrishna walking in the room in the night and then praying to Mother. Sri Ramakrishna was telling, oh Mother, I don't want popularity. I don't want people to appreciate me and come and praise me. Please see that this does not happen. Swami Premanandaji says, ordinary people are so much after popularity, name, fame. And this man, he was surprised to see Sri Ramakrishna praying to Mother that I don't want popularity, I don't want name, I don't want fame. And Sri Ramakrishna was just the reverse. So this young boy was so impressed. He says, this man was praying to Mother that I don't want people to come to me. And Swami Premanandaji says, Sri Ramakrishna did not like any type of bondage. If you read, you will find that Sri Ramakrishna could not tuck the mosquito net in his cot. That was bondage for him. They had to just tie the mosquito net. They could not tuck the mosquito net. Of course, he could not even tie his clothes properly. Sometimes they would fall off. Huh? All these were bondage for him. When putting a knot or tying something was something difficult for him. And Sri Ramakrishna, as I told you already, he was so sensitive. He could not bolt. His doors were always open. The room where he stayed in Dakshineshwar, he would never bolt his room. Whether it was in the day or night, it was always open. Anybody could enter into his room. His life was an open book. And he was so sensitive to noise. There is a beautiful incident. So one of the, I think, disciples, tore a piece of cloth with a noise in front of him. And Sri Ramakrishna cried out in pain. He said, please don't do this in front of me. The noise was jarring to his ear. Of course, it's a screeching noise, it's a harsh noise, but anything that is torn or destroyed was unbearable for Sri Ramakrishna. He used to say, Ami bhangte ashini godate shichi. I have not come to destroy, I have come to build. You see, anything that is being destroyed or broken or cut, Sri Ramakrishna could not tolerate. He always wanted to help, build, construct. Okay? Oh, there's a beautiful incident. One day, all these as narrated by Swami Premanandji. One day, the ladies from Balram Basu's house, family, a very respectable family in Kolkata, they had come to Sri Ramakrishna. They were great devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, and they were sitting and talking to Sri Ramakrishna in the room in Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to them about God and spiritual life. Suddenly, through the door, he saw another lady called Ramani, who was a prostitute, going by. This lady sometimes used to come to pay respects to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna knew her. She stayed near Dakshineshwar. And Sri Ramakrishna saw her and immediately called her. Oh, Ramani, how are you? Doing well? You're not coming nowadays. What happened? He started talking to her, giving her attention. He almost went out of the door and started talking to her. Now these ladies of respectable family, they were taken aback. How is this man, a God man, talking to a prostitute and then giving her attention when we are sitting here? They felt very bad about this. And Sri Ramakrishna is telling her, then why don't you come nowadays? The ladies were scandalized. And then Sri Ramakrishna came back to the room and then said, oh, let's go to the temple. These ladies followed him. He went to the Kali temple and standing in front of the temple, in front of Mother, he says, oh, Mother, you are in the form of Ramani. You are sporting in the form of Ramani. He was seeing the Divine Mother even in that fallen lady. There is a similar incident. There was another lady who used to come to Dakshineshwar to clean the campus, sweep and then remove all the leftover plates and throw it in the proper place. Vrinde, her name, Vrinde. So she used to do this work, menial work, and one day she was carrying a basket of all these dirty things which were thrown by people and all that, a huge smelly basket on her head and coming down the road near Panchavati. And Sri Ramakrishna was coming in the opposite direction. Sri Ramakrishna was going in the other direction. He saw this Vrinde carrying this huge load of all the rubbish on her head, smelly thing on her head. Anybody else would have probably put a kerchief on the face, or then moved away and said, oh, what a dirty smell, or something like that, and then avoided this scene. Whereas Sri Ramakrishna immediately fell on the ground, prostrated before her, to a lady who was cleaning, and says, oh mother, who else can do this type of work other than you? Ar ke korte pare tumar chhada. He was seeing the same divine mother in this lady who used to clean, sweep the temple. Let me close with one small incident. His love for the direct disciples. It was something extraordinary. There's a beautiful incident connected to Shashi, Swami Ramakrishna. When Sri Ramakrishna was in Kashipur, suffering from the cancer, throat cancer that he had, and it was winter time, one day he was on his bed, sleeping on his bed, resting on his bed, and Shashi, who was serving him, who later on became Swami Ramakrishnananda, saw him resting and thought this was an opportunity for him to go out and probably clean some other part of the building and come back in a few minutes. So he went out of the room, leaving Sri Ramakrishna alone. It was night and winter time. And when he came back after a few minutes, he saw Sri Ramakrishna, who was extremely weak, emaciated, totally weak. Sri Ramakrishna was crawling on the floor like a child with great difficulty and trying to reach for a shawl which was on a pole in the corner of his room. With great difficulty, he was trying to reach that shawl. Shashi had such intense love and respect for Sri Ramakrishna, he became a little angry. He scolded Sri Ramakrishna. Why did you not call me? Why are you taking the trouble of going and crawling? You should have told me to give me the shawl and I would have given you. Why are you doing like this? Shashi became a little piqued and then told Sri Ramakrishna, a little angrily probably. Sri Ramakrishna said, oh Shashi, I don't want this for me. It is cold and you were going out with a thin, bare-bodied. I was taking out the shawl for you. And Shashi could not withstand crying, seeing his love and affection and concern for this young boy. Anyhow, thank you. We'll continue. I think question and answer. You want me to answer some questions? I think he has already answered all the questions.
Yeah, we're already a half hour late.
And Nirakaranji has answered all the questions. They have no questions, I know.
There'll be a whole session tomorrow.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We'll continue tomorrow.
Is everybody willing to sit for another hour? We're scheduled for a panel discussion now. It's okay. So I'm not even going to ask anybody to get up and stretch. You can stretch sitting on your chair. No. So it'll only be two of us. Swami Swahananda, he's not willing to come.
No, he will.
Oh, okay, he will. Okay. Okay. So we will invite our Mataji will come, and the two of us, the two local boys, will come. So this, is it on? Yeah. So this session is about Sri Ramakrishna and Swamiji. tomorrow there'll be a session, panel discussion, Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. So I wanted to start just a little bit of a background about the initial meeting of Sri Ramakrishna and Swamiji, Narendra, because we've already heard Sri Ramakrishna, he was waiting, and he could recognize his chosen ones to come. And it's very interesting, the first meetings that Sri Ramakrishna had with many of his future disciples. One thing that's curious is that sometimes it wasn't the first time that they met, that nothing very special happened. When Niranjan, Swami Niranjanadi, he met Swamiji several years before he actually really met him. And Narendra, he was invited to the house of Surendra Mitra to sing a few songs, and Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, he's a nice boy." And Swamiji thought, "Oh, this is a holy man." But nothing very special happened. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, come and see me sometime." But in between, maybe he had the vision in between, or maybe it just took him, it didn't click right away. But the first real meeting in Dakshineswar is something very, very special. So I wanted to go through that a little bit in the words of Swamiji and the words of Sri Ramakrishna both, because this is where we really get to appreciate it when we hear their description of it. And actually, the only thing we know about it is from the description that we get from Sri Ramakrishna and we get from Swamiji, because they were the only two that were there at that time. So I'm going to go through that a little bit. As I say, the first visit, nothing extraordinary seemed to take place. And why Narendra went again to see Sri Ramakrishna is also not entirely clear. We have a couple of theories. One that Professor Hastings, that he was actually the principal of the college, and he was filling in for a professor who wasn't there that day, and there was a study of these mystical poets, Wordsworth and others, and he happened to say, if you want to see somebody who has had this experience of some type of ecstasy or trance by seeing the beauty of nature, there's one person that I know of, and that's the Sri Ramakrishna Dakshineswar. So some people have the feeling that he is the one who led Sri Ramakrishna. On the other hand, led Swamiji. On the other hand, Narendra was a member of the Brahmo Samaj. So Keshav and others had already been lionizing him and everything. So that's possible. And possible just that Sri Ramakrishna said, yeah, come sometime to Dakshineswar, and he agreed, so he came. So we don't know exactly, but something like that. It may be a combination of all of them. So anyhow, Narendra went one day with a couple of his friends. Maybe Sri Ramakrishna had the vision of the small boy, which was him, who went to the seven sages and wrapped his arms around them. We know about that vision. Maybe he had it after seeing Narendra the first time, or it didn't come to his mind. But in any event, when he saw Narendra this time, then something very special happened, and this is the account that we get from Narendra, future Swamiji. No, I'm sorry, this is from Sri Ramakrishna. Narendra entered this room by the western door. He seemed careless about his body and dress, and unlike other people, unmindful of the external world. His eyes bespoke an introspective mind, as if some part of it were always concentrated upon something within. I was surprised to find such a spiritual soul coming from the material atmosphere of Calcutta. A mat was spread on the floor. He sat on it just near the place where you now see the big jar containing the water of the Ganga. This is also very close to the place where Thakur worshipped Holy Mother, Shodashi. And it's also interesting that that big jar is the example that Thakur used for Narendra himself. Others are like little pitchers. He's like this big cistern. This concept is adhar, the big containers. The friend with whom he had come, the friends, appeared to be ordinary young men with usual tendencies towards enjoyment. He sang a few Bengali songs at my request. One of them was a common song of the Brahmo Samaj. This is our Monocholo Nijo Nikitoni, that triggered everything for Sri Ramakrishna. He sang the song with his whole heart and put such pathos in it that I could no longer control my feeling. This is that, oh my mind, remain within your own abode. Why do you wander aimlessly to other places? Then he took leave, but after that I felt such a constant agonizing desire to see him. At times the pain would be so excruciating that I felt it as if my heart were being squeezed like a wet towel. Then I could no longer check myself. I ran to the northern quarter of the garden, a rather unfrequented place, and there cried at the top of my voice, "Oh, my darling, come to me. I cannot live without seeing you." After some time, I felt better. This state of things continued for 6 months. There were other boys who also came here. I felt greatly drawn towards some of them, but nothing like the way I was attracted toward Narendra. Now, this will be Narendra's explanation of what happened that day. It says, Narendra too was profoundly moved at this first visit to the Master. He told some of his friends of it later, though with some reserve. He said, well, I sang the song, but shortly after, he suddenly rose and taking me by the hand, led me to the northern veranda, shutting the door behind him. So only the two of them there. It was locked from the outside, so we were alone. I thought he would give me some private instructions, but to my utter surprise, he began to shed profuse tears of joy as he held my hand, and addressing me most tenderly, as one long familiar to him, said, "Ah, you come so late. How could you be so unkind as to keep me waiting so long?" Remember the vision. The light came from this sage, one of the 7 rishis, came down to earth. Thakur felt, where is he? He came down. Why hasn't he come? How could you be so unkind as to keep me waiting so long? My ears are well-nigh burdened in listening to the profane talk of worldly people. Oh, how I yearn to unburden my mind to one who can appreciate my innermost experience. Thus he went on amid sobs. The next moment he stood before me with folded hands and began to address me. Lord, I know you are that ancient sage Nara, the incarnation of Narayana, born on earth to remove the miseries of mankind, and so on. Now, I've always found some of these things curious. First of all, Sri Ramakrishna very often talked about Swamiji as Shiva himself. And one of the 7 sages, Nara is not one of the 7 sages. And the actual language that he uses, he says, Nara Rupi Narayana, which to me is, I see you as God himself come in human form. And I have this theory. I have 2 theories. One, Sri Ramakrishna, he had a thing about names. His name is Narendra. Nara, Indra, Narendra. So there's a trigger for him. So thinking of that. But Nara means man. And Swamiji was the embodiment of the highest perfection of the human being, in my mind. If we want to look at it that way, we can say, of course, Ishvara Koti and everything else. But I have this feeling that Sri Ramakrishna recognized that in him, and just as, you've heard this theory before, some of you, just as when he worshipped Holy Mother, Shodashi, he awakened that feeling of motherhood, that he awakened this love for humankind in Swamiji when he touched him and gave him that experience and referred to him as Nara. And which is also of great significance is that later, after he broke his arm, everything was Nara Lila, this divine play, and Sri Ramakrishna used to say that this is the final truth, highest type of truth, seeing God dwelling in human form. He used to say, Vaishnav Charan told me this years ago, and I never believed him. Now I know that he was right, that this is the highest thing. So this, to me, was the awakening of that spirit, because this was natural to Swamiji. This is natural love for humankind, just as a divine motherhood was natural for Holy Mother. But somehow Sri Ramakrishna quickened it. He kind of awakened that. So to me, this tremendous significance. One is that this was the chosen one for Sri Ramakrishna to spread his message throughout the world, and that ultimately this highest truth, we can say, of seeing God dwelling within all beings. We read recently about Sharad Maharaj, Swami Swahananda, that Sri Ramakrishna asked him one day, well, what do you want to achieve in spiritual life? What is your goal? And he said, I want to see God dwelling everywhere and within everyone. And Thakur laughed and said, that's the final position. That's the highest thing. So this is really, I think, the essential feature of Swamiji's teachings in the West, what he used to call worship of the living God. And I'll just finish very quickly that when he wrote in one of his letters to Mary Hale, what we now know as that poem, The Living God. I just want to read the last line of this. Ye fools who neglect the living God and his infinite reflections with which the world is full, while ye run after imaginary shadows that lead alone to fights and quarrels, him worship, the only visible, break all other idols. So, to me, this is the Swamiji that Sri Ramakrishna loved so much. The one who, even though he would tease him and he would say, why do you bring this riffraff to me, these worthless people, he loved that in Swamiji. And this is what, and Swamiji got it from Sri Ramakrishna. This idea, see God dwelling in all beings, bow down, worship to them, forget about this pity and compassion, look upon that as the highest type of worship, and do everything out of love. So I'm done. So this was my little quick introduction, so I won't take too much time away. Okay, now, Manoj, yeah.
Namaskar. All of us here know about that extraordinary vision Sri Ramakrishna once had about himself and Swami Vivekananda, long before they actually met each other. In the vision, he saw Swami Vivekananda as one of the 7 great sages, seated immersed in samadhi in the realm of the Absolute, and himself as the luminous divine child who roused the sage from his superconscious state with his magic touch, saying, I'm going down, you too must go with me. And of course, we also know about that other equally extraordinary incident that happened towards the very end of Sri Ramakrishna's life on earth, when, in a clear response to a doubt that enters Vivekananda's mind about Sri Ramakrishna's godhood, Sri Ramakrishna clearly declares, he who was Rama and Krishna is now Ramakrishna in this body, and not in your Vedantic sense. To us devotees, these are not just extraordinary visions or incidents. They are like revelations that give us an inkling into the divine origin, into the divine nature of these two great beings. However, what I'd like to draw your attention to now is another great event that occurred just a couple of days before Sri Ramakrishna declared that he was an incarnation of God. He has decided to bring his divine play on earth to a close and calls Narendranath to his side. There is nobody else in the room. He makes Narendra sit before him and, gazing at him, goes into samadhi. Narendra feels a subtle force like an electric shock penetrating his body, and gradually he too loses outer consciousness. He doesn't know how long he sat there like that. And when he comes around, he finds Sri Ramakrishna weeping. Asked why, Sri Ramakrishna says, "Today I have given you my all, and I have become a fakir. With this power, you will do immense good to the world, and then only you will go back." This is how Sri Ramakrishna passed on his powers to Swami Vivekananda. But the other disciples were convinced that from this point, Ramakrishna and Vivekananda became as one soul. And not only the disciples, but their disciples also believed that it was the one and the same divine being in two forms. And they wanted us to know them to be one and not two. Those who know them to be two don't really know. This is what those disciples of Sri Ramakrishna's monastic disciples have told. It is not Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, it is Ramakrishna Vivekananda. Now, the purpose of an incarnation of God is to revive and revitalize spirituality in the world, and through that, bring about a regeneration of humankind at all levels of life. So the work has two phases. First, rediscovering forgotten spiritual truths and reinterpreting them to suit current conditions, both personal and social. And the second phase is amplifying them and spreading them broadcast in such an all-embracing way that spirituality becomes universally accessible and nobody is left out. So the purpose is one, but the task of accomplishing it has two phases. So we see in the Leela, in the divine play of the present Ramakrishna Vivekananda incarnation, we have two aspects suited to the two phases. The incarnation is one, but it has two distinct aspects, as it were. Sri Ramakrishna's body was made of pure sattva, with not even a trace of rajas in it. Without that kind of purity, without that kind of sattva, nobody could achieve what he achieved in the spiritual domain. But this also meant that his body would be very highly sensitive, extremely delicate, and so unsuitable for the other phase of the task. That part of the work needed a Vivekananda whose sattva had the necessary rajas, the necessary energy in it. Without that amount of dynamism, nobody could accomplish what Vivekananda did. So what did, in concrete terms, what did these two aspects, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, achieve? What roles did they play in fulfilling the mission of an incarnation? Let me first mention them briefly. Sri Ramakrishna reaffirmed or even revalidated four fundamental spiritual truths. God is, God can be realized, God realization is the supreme goal of human existence, and God can be experienced in many ways. And Swami Vivekananda emphasized the four cardinal principles of Vedanta. the divinity of the soul, the unity of existence, the oneness of God, and the harmony of religions. So, first of all, God is. That is what all religions and all great teachers have always proclaimed, each according to their own vision. However, there is not a single argument that can substantiate God's actuality on the basis of reason that cannot be contradicted. So the proof for God's existence has to be sought elsewhere. That brings us to the second truth. God can be realized. That is to say, God can be known, felt, experienced immediately in the depth of one's own soul. This is the fact on which all Indian spirituality is founded. From the Vedic rishis down to Sri Ramakrishna, all teachers have consistently declared that God can be directly perceived. Of course, not in our normal consciousness, but in a unique, transcendent state. Then, God realization is the supreme goal of human existence. Here also, all religions and teachers are agreed. 1,000 voices have proclaimed what is for a spiritual seeker the one basic rule of life. The rishis have said, "Arise, awake, approach the feet of the Master and know that supreme truth." Shankaracharya has said, "Study of the scriptures is fruitless so long as Brahman has not been experienced." Sri Ramakrishna also said the very same thing. He is born to no purpose who, having the rare privilege of being born a human, is unable to realize God. And finally, the fourth spiritual truth, God can be experienced in many ways. This also, the Vedas said, truth is one, sages call it by various names. And Sri Ramakrishna declared, as many religions, so many paths to reach the one and the same goal. So this was Sri Ramakrishna's role and achievement, to rediscover through his superhuman sadhana these four core truths of spirituality and to revalidate them. How? By demonstrating them in actual life. And what about Swami Vivekananda? For his part, Vivekananda distilled the knowledge that he gained from assimilating his master's life and teachings and the Vedantic knowledge that he acquired from his own profound spiritual experiences, and then broadcast them in a universally understandable and acceptable language. This was his role and achievement. The new Vedanta that Swami Vivekananda taught also has four salient features. One, the divinity of the soul. Every soul is divine. Even when the soul is oblivious of its spiritual nature due to ignorance. The divine light shines in the heart of every individual being. So everyone is entitled to our respect. This divinity of the soul is the unshakable spiritual basis for all higher aspirations of the human heart: democracy, self-determination, freedom, all such things. Then, the unity of existence. This happens to be the very foundation of all ethical codes. The scriptures say, our true self is the self of all beings. So Vivekananda pointed out that by harming others, one really harms oneself. And by making others happy, one brings happiness to oneself. He also showed that self-love, which is the mainspring of all our actions, finds its best expression and its highest fulfillment in love for and in service to all beings. Then the third one, the oneness of God. Just like Ramakrishna, Vivekananda also explained that the various names and forms, that is to say, the different deities, they're only symbols which help our minds to grasp the infinite. The deities, the gods and goddesses, are just so many facets of the one infinite reality that we call God. What we need to cultivate is steadfast loyalty to our own ideal and a positive respect, not mere toleration, a positive respect for the ideals of others. And finally, the harmony of religions. Vivekananda made it clear that religion is not the goal, but only a path by means of which the seeker attains ultimate perfection. The different faiths, paths, or yogas are necessary to suit different minds. He said, as many minds, so many yogas. All religions are working for the good of humanity. Each tradition takes up one part of the great universal truth and spends itself in embodying and typifying it. The universal religion that we seek so fervently has always been existing. It runs through all the various religious faiths and traditions as God consciousness, which is their very foundation. Truth is the thread that holds together the pearls of different faiths. So religion, in Vivekananda's opinion, should emphasize harmony and not dissension, unity and not discord, love and not hate, friendship and not enmity. So the reaffirmation of these 8 basic principles of religion and spirituality are the Ramakrishna Vivekananda incarnation's main contributions to the present age. One look at our own spiritual lives and at the spiritual climate of our world will show how precious, how invaluable they are. May their lives and teachings strengthen us and inspire us to actualize these great ideas in our lives. Thank you.
On the third speaker, Prajaka Parvata Praniji, will speak, but while she's speaking, we'll probably end up with 10 or 15 minutes for questions. So we have the sheets of paper there and pens if people want to start writing things down, because we're a little bit pressed for time. So we'll try to see if we can accommodate at least a few questions.
I'm the victim of an evil plot. They have put me last and given my speech. So, Namo Sri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraya Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. I bow to the King of Renouncers, brilliant like the sun, whose nature is the bliss of knowledge and who removes suffering. Now, first I will give an announcement. Sri Buddha has asked me to remind you that nowadays people don't read books to their children anymore, and that's the reason for all the ills of the world. It is my contention that all the ideas that Swami Vivekananda so eloquently spoke of in the Parliament of Religions and in all his teachings in the West were not original. No, they were not original. They were the message of that stammering, unlettered yogi, Sri Ramakrishna. He said, if there is anything achieved by me, by thoughts, words, or deeds that has ever helped anyone in the world, I laid no claim to it. It was his, all that has been life-giving, strengthening, pure and holy has been his. His inspiration, his words, and he himself. Yes, my friends, the world has yet to know that man. So, Swamiji hesitated, we know, when his friends encouraged him to join the Parliament of Religions, and he only changed his mind in favor of going when he had a vision of Sri Ramakrishna beckoning him to cross the ocean. Then he understood that it was divinely ordained. But still, he was so nervous. The first day of the Parliament, he didn't speak in the morning. He kept deferring his turn to the next, until the whole morning had gone. And at last, in the afternoon session, Dr. Barrows called upon him. He had to get up in front of this august audience, and he didn't know what he would say because he hadn't prepared a speech when everyone else had. His tongue was dried up, and his heart was fluttering in his chest. He said, he only addressed his audience when there was an ovation of 2 minutes of deafening applause. What did he say? He didn't know. He sat down completely exhausted with emotion. So we have other instances of Sri Ramakrishna speaking through Swamiji. Once when Swamiji was at Ridgely Manor, the young son of his hostess came to his door in the morning and knocked. Swamiji, good morning. Swamiji, you were talking the whole night, loudly talking and laughing. Everyone else was asleep. With whom were you talking? There's no one in your room. Swamiji answered, oh, God is so funny. Swami Swahananda said that he knew definitely that Swamiji communed with Sri Ramakrishna intimately and often, but he couldn't always speak to him because he was not always on the same plane as Sri Ramakrishna. He had to be on that transcendental plane, and then he would communicate with Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna would tell him what to say. So these are instances that we know for sure that Sri Ramakrishna spoke through Swamiji like a ventriloquist through a puppet. Now, Swamiji defended himself, first of all, at the Parliament of Religions. He knew that people would not accept what he had to say, being a Hindu from India, and people in the West, because of the report of missionaries, gave people the impression that the Hindus are close to savages, that they were ignorant people. And so Swamiji first asserted himself. Otherwise, how could he have them accept Sri Ramakrishna's ideas? They were all new to them. First of all, he said, I come from the most ancient order of monks in the world, meaning that he was not just a vagabond monk. Then he said, I represent the mother of religions. Well, that meant that all other religions are children. And then he also said that, well, there are millions and millions of Hindus of various sects and denominations. When these Christians imagined that they are all in all, there are actually in those days many more Hindus than Christians in the world. So in this way, Swamiji prepared his audience for a largeness of view, which he knew they didn't have. They expected that the result of the parliament would be that they would prove that Christianity was superior to other religions. And Swamiji, knowing that, he first of all broadened their views. I'm salvaging what I can of my speech now. Now, to make it short, I will just say that all of these ideas would have come to Swamiji through Sri Ramakrishna. One day, Sri Ramakrishna, in his room, he wanted to have a smoke, and Swamiji was there, and he took a few puffs of his chillum, and then he offered it to Swamiji. And Swamiji was horrified. How could he smoke put his lips on the hand of his guru? So he backed off. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, you make such differentiation. This is me, and this is also me," pointing to Swamiji. And Swamiji was forced to take some puffs from his chillum. But then he said quickly, "Now wash your hands, because Sri Ramakrishna again started to smoke. So Sri Ramakrishna and Swamiji were the same soul in two bodies. Once a woman said to Swamiji, "I wish I had seen Sri Ramakrishna." Swamiji said to her, "You wish you had seen Sri Ramakrishna and you are seeing me?" Once Holy Mother told Yogin Ma, her close companion and confidant, "You see that tree there? I saw Sri Ramakrishna standing under that tree one day. And then I saw Swamiji walking towards him, and he merged into Sri Ramakrishna. So Yogin Ma was so impressed by this. She told Swamiji afterwards, "This is what Mother told me." Swamiji said, "Don't tell it to anyone." But she must have, because we hear it today. Now, I have to cut short my speech.
Okay, do we have any questions? You can bring them up.
Can we help you? This is addressed to Swami A, though.
Oh, it is?
Yes, Maharaj Swami A. Maharaj Swami A. Which one doesn't say?
Yeah, no, it says Swami A said. That means that in the morning, he said.
Oh, sorry, I didn't read on.
Acharati
Okay.
Sreshtaha. Yes.
Okay, you can give it back. Let me
Okay.
see if I can figure it out. Okay, he said, oh my goodness. A great person does, what a great person does, others follow. But even though I heard about Buddha's renunciation of kingdom, I could not renounce my little home. I read Invitation of Christ, but could not imitate him. Swamis at Vedanta Center, oh, this is a long one. We have to figure this out. Taught Mahavakyas, but I could not put them into practice. I followed Sri Ramakrishna's truthfulness at work, but ended up quitting that job. With that, I was distanced from Kamini Kanchan, but not from Maya. Do you have any advice to defeat Maya? Any suggestions, Maharaj? You're the leader.
I read something recently. I don't remember, was it the Ram Gopal Maharaj book? I don't remember, but one of the senior swamis was saying that we have to make a distinction between following the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and following the example of Sri Ramakrishna. That there are many things that he did that we simply have to say we can't do. And we have to understand our own limitations and everything. But when he gave specific advice, and that advice was meant not only for specific people, but for everyone, we should try to follow those things. Everything else, we have to follow it in our own way and according to our own capabilities. And we have to tone those things down. We can't practice the austerities that he did. We can't even practice truthfulness the way that he did. We just don't have that potential within us to do it, and we have to understand that and accept it. And it's okay, because we don't have to. One nice thing about this Kali Yuga is that things are easier in this Kali Yuga. Yeah, that others times that you have to spend full day long deep meditation. Now we just have to have a little bhakti and there's a truthfulness and everything. So we have to understand that when Sri Ramakrishna says that he's created the mold and we pour ourselves into that mold, that it's not him. That some of his teachings, what he stood for, that's what it means. It doesn't mean that we can renounce Kamini Kanta, that we can live a life of truth, that we can do any of the austerities that he did. We can do it to a certain extent. This is why he said he's done all 16 parts, we only have to do one part. So we have to understand that distinction. Yeah. This is for Shibuda. I would like to have some suggestions for books on meditation. Where is Shivu?
He's in front of the book.
Yeah. And here there's a nice book, it's just called Meditation, and it's just a compilation of Swamiji's, different things that Swamiji wrote about meditation.
There's one book, Meditation, its process, practice, culmination. Yeah. The book that has helped me first is called Meditation, its process, practice, and culmination by Swami Satprakashanandaji, who started the St. Louis Center. Yeah, this is what I can. Satprakashananda.
Yeah.
Meditation, its process, practice, and culmination.
The emphasis that we place on learning about meditation and techniques of meditation and all of this are misplaced, because the teachings about meditation, what we have to know about it, are very simple. We get it at the time of initiation, and we're very often told we get everything at the time of initiation. We're given the Ishtadevata and we're given the mantra. We don't have to know too much else. We have to practice. And as we practice, things become a little more clear and everything. Otherwise, there's so many books that we can read, but none of it will replace actually trying to do it, and then we see where we stumble and we see the obstacles and all of that, then it becomes more or less clear to us. These other books are helpful, of course, but the main problem is our own mind. It's not this lack of understanding and we don't know the right technique, and is there a different mantra and all of this. Most of the problem is our own mind.
What if somebody doesn't want to be initiated?
If they don't want to be initiated, yeah, then I always ask that if people don't want to be, because they ask that question, do we have to take initiation? And I always find it very strange. You think it's like taking bitter medicine? It'll taste horrible. It'll be a bad thing. Do people say, oh, do we have to have dessert with the meal? I mean, to me, we have to analyze. Most people who don't want to take initiations because they think that they know better, that they can decide for themselves. Why should somebody else tell them what to do and everything? This is my own bias, of course. There may be very good people and that never take initiation and everything, but I'll give you one quick example. Sri Ramakrishna talks about the chain that's tied to the I'd like to think, buried treasure under the ocean. And somebody can dive on their own if they want. They can keep diving, and somebody can say, yeah, it's in the middle of the ocean. And they can keep diving if they want. Or somebody can say, I know that there's a chain connected to that. I can give you the end of that chain, and I don't know how long it is, but link by link by link, you'll definitely get it. Now, why would we say, do I have to do it? Huh? It's the greatest benefit, the greatest blessing that we can have to take initiation, have a guru. So, yeah, is it possible to meditate without it? Of course. And it depends what we want out of meditation. If out of meditation we want a little peace of mind and quiet, we can get it. If we want to be a little, sleep better at night, it can happen. If we want to be more efficient at work, yes, we can get that. If we want God realization, then it's better to take initiation. It's not such an easy thing.
Japa is also good for sleep.
Japa is also good for sleep. So listening to lectures. Okay. So no more questions? Okay, so we have a break now, and the musicians will come and they'll set up and they'll practice a little bit. We have our Arati at 6:30, so a little more than an hour, and at 7:30, so we'll stop, we'll give them time to set up again, but we want to try to start the concert at 7:30 tonight. So everyone, it should be a wonderful concert, as I mentioned before. They're both highly accomplished musicians, very well thought of and everything. And then we'll serve dinner to everyone at the close. It'll probably go to around 9 o'clock. I would think that. So, thank you all for coming, and yeah, I hope you can come tomorrow also for the final day of the program.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Bijay Babu.